PSC regulates gas and electric utilities, coal mining, land reclamation, grain elevators, and auctioneers. DFL convention is scheduled later this week in Minot. A bill requiring the state of Minnesota divest its holdings into entities in Russia and Belarus awaits a vote in the state Senate after hearing this morning, as does a companion measure fast-tracked in the Minnesota House. Luda Anastasvesky was born in Mariupol and chairs the Minnesota Ukrainian American Committee. She told lawyers she lost touch with family and friends on February 27th.
Every moment when I'm doing my everyday chores, I think of them. I can't imagine how they're surviving without heat or water or electricity. I pray for them. At this point, I'm praying for a miracle.
Several days ago, Ukraine's parliament reported at least 80% of the residential housing has been destroyed in Mariupol. Taking a look at the Kfgo Weather Center forecast from meteorologist Tom Shemansky this afternoon. High 44, partly to mostly cloudy and breezy tonight and tomorrow. Cloudy and windy, high of 40, low of 30. Wind will be gusting between 15 and 35 miles an hour. Thursday, partly and mostly sunny, high of 52, low of 22. Friday, we'll see a high of 45, partly to mostly cloudy and windy. This weekend, expect highs between 40 to 45. Saturday, partly sunny, and Sunday, mostly cloudy and breezy. I'm Madison Quinn, News Radio, KFGO.
We've got a lot to get caught up on since I haven't been with you since last Thursday. So I want to, again, take a moment to thank Derek Hansen for covering Friday and, of course, Jim Shaw for filling in yesterday. Great shows from both those guys. And one of the things that I have to throw out there, because there's a lot of conversation about it. In fact, I know a lot of people that are listening probably went to the Fargo-Dome Saturday evening. Elton John, the farewell tour that was kicked back, I think, at least twice to now. And I'm curious your thoughts on it. 35270 is the iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club. You can call me on the Land Use Studio line at 237-5948. Here's where I land on this. Not popular for a lot of people, perhaps, because I think it all depends on where you found yourself in the Dome. Now, this is an important thing when it comes to going to venues, when it comes to going to concerts, is there's a couple of things that leaves you, when you walk away, wow. Especially you've got to talk about it. You've got to brag about it that, hey, I was there, you weren't, that sort of thing, to those friends that couldn't make it. You've got the performance of the artists themselves, and then you've got the experience of yourself in that crowd. Here's where I'm splitting hairs here, because watching Elton John, albeit 75, I think, this Friday, he said he was going to be turning 75, guy still crushed it. Performance was good. The only complaint I've got about the performance itself is the early 20 minutes, the first 3-4 songs, that video playing in the background, so distracting. And if you know anything about what I tell you, if you're a regular listener, if you put a music video on, I don't care if it's at a crowded establishment, if it's just me, I'm going to have tunnel vision and watch that music video. I don't know it. I can't explain it. It just happens. You put a music video in front of me and I'm just captivated. I would just stare at it. So it pulled away just a little bit. But if anyone else, this is where I want to know more from you, because I thought the performance from Elton John was good. It was the experience factor if you were on the further away side of the Dome. Now, here's where I've questioned, because you saw all the semis come. I mean, there was a lot of semis, which you've got to have when you have that level of a performer, when you've got that amount of, technology that goes into a performance, is if they did enough to consume you as a fan, as a concert goer, if you weren't sitting up close to those that were further in the back, it didn't feel like the sound got to you. Now, and I don't fault the Fargo Dome whatsoever on that. That's why I keep coming back to it in my mind. This typically is brought by the performers and the roadies themselves, right? As far as the sounds, those speakers. What I found myself distracted by, aside from the video at the beginning stages of this, was it felt so distant if you were not up in the closer sections. Now, granted, that's all, hey, look, you bought your tickets, so that's what happens. If you aren't going to be willing to pay more, you're going to not have as great of that up-close personal experience. But I've got to say, I've been to some concerts that have been of just a solo artist, in which, all right, you know what, on those tickets, because of the name of that artist, boy, we were up there just a little ways away. But you still were immersed in the sound of that artist. You know, I think about going to the XL Energy Center and watching Adele from the nosebleeds. I felt like you were still sitting right there. I didn't get that from Elton John's performance at the Fargo Dome. And I think it was just because of the lack of really pumping out that sound to those that weren't on the front half of the dome. Am I the only one that felt that way? Because I brought it up to others and like, Tyler, you're going crazy. It was a great concert, all of it, top to bottom, couldn't ask for more. I just find myself wanting more from the actual environment being perhaps a little bit further back. Now, I know that Jim Shaw, was sitting here yesterday, and Eric Johnson, who's sitting behind the board, and he's not going anywhere. People were wondering, hey, you got this new show coming up. Tonight's the debut of Nightcap with Eric Johnson, but you're still going to be forced to work with me because they couldn't find anyone else that wanted to do it, apparently.
Afternoons Live is still my primary role at KFGO. Nightcaps are fun, and I'm excited to do some different things, but this is job number one right here behind this board.
Reassuring words. I appreciate that. But you and Jim Shaw were like, you guys could have like threw a volleyball at each other and you would have been there. And you guys, by the sounds of it, had a more personal experience at the Dome, probably because you were closer to it.
Yeah.
If I had to fault, it's just they didn't pump that far enough back to have that just, hey, like you are part of the show.
Yeah, our seats were honestly sometimes when you're on the side of the stage, I was pretty close to the front of the stage, right on the side in the stands.
Right.
And the sound was perfect, and I was a little worried that sometimes the side gets muddled.
Yeah, a little echoey at times.
Right. But no, sound was great. I did have the same experience with that video board. Like they clearly put in a lot of time to the production of those videos.
Yeah, they were great. They were great videos,
but
they were quite distracting.
I was thankful we also had the little screens that were bouncing around to the different musicians, so I could glance up at those and glance at the video board.
Let's see what the drummer's up to.
But one of the things that I didn't mention yesterday when Jim and I were talking about it for a couple minutes was I was impressed with how loud the crowd got during some of the ovations. I don't know if you experienced that from your perspective, but it sounded like a football game in there a couple times.
So to that point, yes, it was just the sheer lack of that of hearing him on the latter part of the Dome there. One thing, okay, this will be the last thing for me because we had a young couple in front of us. And when they came out for the encore, his new hit with, what's her name?
Dua Lipa.
Okay, yeah, so you'll be the one in charge of saying that. I'm there with the significant other, and she's singing that song, especially when it's the verse of, or the chorus of Rocket Man. And they're like, we thought we'd be the only people in here that knew this song.
No, the whole crowd
It's
knew
like,
it.
wait a minute here. We're singing the part that's Rocket Man. We all know that part of it. So it was interesting to see the dynamics of the different generations coming in because he's had hits for the last, like over 6 different decades.
Yeah.
So you've got this very young millennial group in front of us, shocked that us old millennials knew the words to this new song. And so it's just that was quite interesting. But that was just my observation. I have been to both the times now that Elton John's been here. The first time was more immersive and actually making you feel like, oh, you're surrounded by, his presence. Didn't get that on Saturday, so I was a little disappointed. 237-594, that's the Laney studio line. You can text me on the Consultants of North Dakota Text Club again at 35270. Afternoons live on a Tuesday, just getting started. Don't go anywhere. Speaking of concerts, I have some tickets for 38 Special I'm going to be giving out today, and quite frankly, tomorrow and likely Thursday. That show is going to be taking place Friday, March 25th. That is Friday, right? I believe. I'll have to check again on here down at or over at Shooting Star. So I'll give you a chance to win those. I'll tell you how, so don't call in right now because I'm not giving them away right now. But 38 Special is taking place Friday, 8 o'clock show, March 25th. Tyler, I was there about where Eric's at. I didn't hear the lyrics well, but I thought that maybe my age had something to do with it, hearing going on. And then there's some comments about the videos that were rolling on behind Elton as well. And I understand what you were talking about. So thanks for sending that into the Consultants of North Dakota Tax Club. We got a full week in store for you. We've got a number of things coming up. Minnesota related, Bill Warner. We got Chris Atterbury. Actually, no, Chris Atterbury's out this week. We got Seth Stoll's Twins Daily going to be joining us to talk all things Twins tomorrow as well. I want to take hopefully get the landowner side of this carbon capture pipeline. We've talked about it. We've talked about the project, the fact that $250 million has been put into it by the Harold Hams of the world, the oil industry as well. We're going to have an opportunity to talk about this whole eminent domain, because you had Richland County say, look, we don't support that process if that's what it comes to. You've had the governor right here on KFGO airwaves say, I would not support eminent domain, because you've got landowners growing in numbers the way I perceive it and saying, look, we support this project, but we're not comfortable with it. So we're going to have that side of the conversation hopefully tomorrow. We're trying to line up some of those landowners. But today we're going to have the viewpoint from a group that's been working on this type of policy, advocating for this sort of project to try to get the highly pressurized greenhouse gases, to where it's not in the air. The Clean Air Task Force. We're going to have Angela Seligman. She's been involved in North Dakota agencies and now onto the U.S. state policy about this Clean Air Task Force, because one of the concerns, and I don't fault landowners for it, is whether or not this is safe. Health-wise, is it safe to be having this pipeline with this amount of greenhouse gas going right underneath my land as I'm out there in the field? When you think about the 2,000 miles of pipeline, the network, it's all going to be shipped. Now, this is according to plan. And if you're thinking about the amount of money and the fact that you've got press conferences being held on this very topic, that is at least being presented as though it's further along than what landowners are being told as well. The thing that keeps coming back in my mind, and this is why I want to have the conversation with Angela today and the landowners later on in this week, is that you keep hearing the concept, if it works. Well, that's a pretty big if we're talking about 2,000 miles of pipeline in which we're going out and we're saying, hey, you know what, this is the project, this is what's going to do. If it works, well, then no wonder why, as a landowner, I would have some questions as to whether or not I would want that running underneath my ground and my property, my house, where I might have kids out running around, or quite frankly, if I'm out there digging because I'm doing A, B, or C. Not to mention all the work that they've probably done, all the investments of some of the drain tile that is down in that part of the state of North Dakota. South Dakota, I know, has already put some of the clamps down on this as well. But if we're thinking about the not my backyard mentality that we've talked about with Castleton, that we've talked about with Grand Forks because of some of their desired projects, this falls in category with that as well. It's that last part, though, that if, that gives a little bit more weight in my mind to what the landowners are saying and why they're coming out and signing petitions to submit to their county commissions saying, look, we don't want this forced upon us. Now, Summit Pipeline has talked about we're going to do all we can to make this as transparent and as good of an outcome for those landowners as we possibly can. But they're still holding in that back pocket of that eminent domain. So we're going to have that conversation today, a little bit later on in the show. I do want to let you know right after the KFGO news update, you've heard over the last about week more candidates coming and stepping forward. Today, in fact, we just had, 3 more candidates announce that they are going to seek a spot on the Fargo City Commission. When it comes to the legislature, though, you've got already that convention mentality in North Dakota. The Democrats are holding theirs out in Minot later on this week. We'll be breaking that down for you on Thursday, thanks to Welton's Tire Service. But also, you've got other candidates. And I've been telling you that you're going to be hearing some prominent names come forward and say, you know what, we got to change the dynamics out in Bismarck. One of them announced yesterday that he was going to be stepping forward right here in West Fargo. That's Jim Jonas. He's the current West Fargo School Board president, now a candidate for the nomination for the Republican Party in West Fargo. Wants to be part of that District 13 representation. He's going to be joining us in studio next. I know he's been pursued by both parties. I'm going to ask why he went with the Republican Party, what his top issues are. It's an uphill battle over there. But if you followed along with that school board election, that name recognition, you know what? He's probably finding himself in a pretty good position. Jim Jonas is going to be joining us next after KFGO News. We'll check in with Rusty Halverson as we'll get all your egg-related news. I'm Tyler Axis, Afternoons Live. We're just rolling on here on a Tuesday afternoon. This is KFGO Fargo.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Laney's, your one-stop solution for all of your plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical, duct cleaning, and sewer and drain needs. Laney's, nobody does it better.
Currently 2:30 Kfgo news. Mostly cloudy and 44 degrees out in Fargo-Moorhead. I'll get you the rest of the Kfgo Weather Center forecast after Kfgo News. I'm Madison Quinn. Body of a man found in the Missouri River Sunday has been identified as 22-year-old Isaac Boady of Lincoln. Mandan police received a report of a possible missing person Sunday afternoon. Boady was last seen the previous evening. Personal items believed to be his were found in a channel of Missouri on the ice. Dive teams were Morton County and Burleigh County Sheriff's Offices responded, and Boady's body was found in the river in an area of open water. An autopsy was performed today by the state medical examiner, and initial results indicated accidental drowning. The investigation is ongoing. Minnesota environmental regulators say damage to the state's public groundwater resources from missteps during the construction of the Line 3 oil pipeline is more severe than previously known. State Department of Natural Resources says Enbridge Energy crews ruptured 3 groundwater aquifers while building the 340-mile pipeline across northern Minnesota last year. DNR says the company faces expanded sanctions. Together, the punctures led to nearly 300 million gallons of groundwater flowing to the surface, which the most serious breach occurring near the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Reservation in St. Louis County. The rupture alone discharged more than 200 million gallons of groundwater, and it continues to flow out. Currently 44 degrees, mostly cloudy. You're listening to KFGO News. Mostly cloudy, 44 degrees. You're listening to KFGO News. 2 people in Moorhead have been arrested for transporting fentanyl from Chicago. Moorhead police say 53-year-old Marcellus Beasley and 29-year-old Hannah Holland pulled over on Friday on I-94 in Clay County on the way back from Illinois. Suspects handed over small bags containing 50 grams of powdered fentanyl. Drugs have a street value of $15,000. They each face a charge of first-degree felony distribution of a controlled substance. Moorhead police say they've responded to 7 overdoses so far this year and 63 in 2021. The director of the North Dakota State Department of Career and Technical Education says he'll be asking the next legislative session for money to operate the maintaining career academics across the state.
We can't invest $90 million in a bunch of facilities and then just leave them high and dry.
Wade Six says his staff is now putting together a proposal to take to lawmakers. He told the College Technical Education Council received $26 million in the current biennium, whereas K through 12 education is receiving significantly more funding than the career academies.
If we value career and technical education, then why is the investment in career and technical education on the state side $26 million?
Career and Technical Education Department Board recently approved a number of projects to be built with federal coronavirus relief funds. Taking a look at the KFGO Weather Center forecast this afternoon. High of 44, partly to mostly cloudy and breezy. Could gust up to 31 miles an hour tonight and tomorrow. Cloudy and windy. High of 40, low of 30 and Thursday. High of 52 with a sunny sky and low of 22. I'm Madison Quinn, News Radio, KFGO.
Rusty Halverson joins me in the KFGO studio. How you been, man? It's been a little while.
Yeah, good to see you back.
Yeah, good to be back. It was nice out, pretty much the entirety of which I was gone, hitting some of those gravel roads.
Yeah.
There's a lot of black soil out there.
Yeah, a lot of black soil. Some of those roads
A little bit, yeah.
I got out and about myself.
Yeah, there was a couple in which were kind of getting pulled one way or another, and I know that the Cass County Sheriff's saying, hey, if you see those roads are that bad, don't go on them.
Yeah, yeah. And
It was a little too late for me.
Yeah, well,
I'm not rutting them up though. I'm not out there just trying to I'm not gunning it.
yeah,
I've got some respect for.
yeah. We pulled over a little road trip with the wife. We pulled over for a few photos, and I've still got mud on the shoes.
Yeah.
Adventures out. Yeah. That time of year.
That it's that time.
Spring.
It's spring, and that means
National Ag Day.
it is national. How does one celebrate National Egg Day
Well,
if
as
you're a
you-
farmer?
As you can see, I've got a suit and tie on.
Yeah.
No,
No.
that's not true.
You can't lie. We got cameras on in here now, man.
Oh no. Well, it's National Ag Day.
It is.
And-
That's no lie. That's actually a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I mean, we celebrate everything we have in agriculture when it comes to our innovation, our technology, our sustainability. We've got a lot to be happy about in this country, feeding the world.
Yeah. I mean, we are.
Yep.
You know, and it takes a lot of work. It shouldn't be coming down to one day to say, hey, we're proud of this industry. I mean, I hope people have, especially over the last couple of years, when you saw grocery stores, you realize, okay, the food supply, you know what, it all starts in the fields.
Yep.
Right
Yep.
here.
Doggone right.
Uh-huh.
We all celebrate National Ag Day in one way or another, whether you eat 3 meals a day or maybe 1 or 2, like you and I.
Big meals, though. They're big meals.
Big meals, big meals.
Yeah.
Now, as we look forward to spring planting, Tyler, we talked earlier today with Tom Bernhardt. He's currently serving as chair of the North Dakota Grain Growers Association. He farms and ranches near Linton, and he was kind enough to stop by over at the the Air Museum in Fargo, North Fargo, earlier today. Joel Heidkamp broadcasting from there, news and views. Now, he says he got some pretty good rains last fall, but many of his colleagues could use some more moisture as we approach this growing season, especially to his south and to the west. Now, NOAA Weather, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, saying that drought will persist or worsen in the spring due to above normal temperatures and below normal precip in many areas of the country. And one of the things that Tom was talking about was the southern plains when it comes to Kansas, when it comes to Texas, Oklahoma, the winter wheat crop. There are concerns there because of the dryness. And as you know, Tyler, because of the concerns that we have around the world,
Right.
we need a good wheat crop from the U.S. this year.
Yeah, wheat on a lot of people's minds, obviously, with all the global.
Obviously.
Appreciate it, Rusty. And come back next hour.
Yeah, let's talk calving.
Calving. All right.
All right.
Well, we'll do that. That'll be next hour. If you can't wait till next hour, you go to kfgo.com. Just click on that agriculture tab to learn more about Rusty's work, Sarah Heinrich as well. When we come back after the CBS National News, Jim Jonas, he wants to be a House of Representatives member out in West Fargo. We'll ask him why right after this.
the things going on in West Fargo.
Well, and there's a lot going on in West Fargo, and you've been involved in a lot of that. I mean, obviously, school board president being one of them, but there's other boards. You're all over the place over there. So the question then is, how do you find the time to be a part of the legislature and do this whole process of getting elected here?
Well, that's a good question, Tyler. As a former teacher and coach, all those years, those 30 plus years I was in education, right. I actually had 2 jobs. One being the teacher, preparing lessons, teaching during the day, correcting. And then my second job as being a varsity assistant at the West Fargo High School and the level we play at. That's a full-time job, between practices, watching film, and scouting. So I've always had 2 jobs, and teachers are probably the best at multitasking.
Probably a lot of people nodding their heads on that one. Well, and I mean, I think the obvious question is why running for the legislature? I know just from being out in that area, living there for quite a while now, that you had both parties asking you for years to do this. You finally decided. Why'd you choose the Republican Party? Why you running for the legislature is what's a lot of people asking.
For quite good question, Tyler. For quite a few years, people really didn't know where I leaned because I was always busy teaching and coaching. Yeah. Those were my passion. And after my career of teaching and coaching, I always knew I was going to get into public service. I go way back to my days in high school. Dean Hildebrand was one of my role models. Dean was a teacher and a member of the House of Representatives from the Devil's Lake. So growing up without a father, he was one of my role models along with my coaches. So as far as being recruited, the Democratic Party for years got me to run, and the Republican Party wanted me to run for different positions too. And I finally decided, well, let's go for it. And I'm a common sense conservative who has accountable leadership.
So then the question is why you're running for the legislature. I mean, what was it after all these years? I know you're no longer coaching, but you're still part of the school district. You're the school board president. But why now? Why did you decide that this is the year that I'm going for it?
Well, I've been weighing this decision for months. I've always wanted to go into the public service after my teaching and coaching career. And I still am going to run for the school board. I'm up for re-election for that also. Okay. And the legislature, I've always wanted to be out in Bismarck. And I was actually out there after the state tournament. Denise, my wife, Denise, she's in charge of the CTE for Cass County, works for the West Fargo and Fargo district. So we were out in Bismarck an extra day. So I was running around the Capitol, and I took some time and sat there in the House of Representatives and the Senate. And I said, well, that's when I said, we're going to go.
That's when we're doing it, huh?
We're going to do it. And West Fargo is a great place to live, go to school, work, own a business. And I want to be part of that, to work for the people that I so admire in the city that I've come to love.
Well, and judging by the last school board election, you're a top vote getter out of X amount of candidates, so certainly they've got your back as well. Just judging from that. Going forward, though, what is it you want to accomplish on the legislature for West Fargo?
Well, of course, education will be a priority. Work on funding for our students, more per pupil funding, and money for our teachers and our paras, bus drivers. So I know the money's there. I just had an interesting visit with a couple people from the legislature, and the money's out there. And then also I want to support our small business owners, economic development in West Fargo and the metro area and all of North Dakota. Help create a climate that's they can thrive with.
Well, and West Fargo's growing so dang quick. In all directions right now. And we were just talking before the break, when this diversion gets done about all the growth. I mean, the school district in and of itself, you're talking about how many kindergarten students are getting enrolled here. And all you have to have the resources aside from just weighing more on property taxes.
Yes, exactly. And our state legislature, they can do more. They can do more. And they will do more to help our tax burden out and our growth. West Fargo is the fastest growing school district in the state. Last year, we had 639 students show up. We expected 400. And every year it's a great place to be. Our schools are great. And with the legislature, hopefully they will help out and lower that burden and help us out, these fast growing districts.
One question, Jim Jonas, my guest, he's the West Fargo School Board President, also a candidate for the Republican nomination in District 13. That's West Fargo is mainly what houses this. West Fargo, you mentioned how much the school district, when it comes to kids coming in, I know for a long time in North Dakota, they were always paying the school districts for what they had the year prior. instead of what you have currently now. Is that still the case, or has that been resolved?
It's resolved a little bit. They've changed it this year. I believe it was up to 70% of whatever every other district will get.
Okay.
Because I think our per pupil payment was $10,730 per student off the top of my head. And yeah, that's something we can work on. And I know they made some progress out in Bismarck, and I want to continue to fight for that.
Well, clearly you've been involved in all aspects of it, whether it's coaching, teaching, now on the school board as well. I mean, it seems like you're in a pretty good position to bring that forward.
Yeah, I've heard from quite a few school board members across the state. I'm excited to try to for my candidacy and my run for Bismarck.
You got a little bit more time? Take a quick break here.
I'm free.
There we go. Jim Jonas, he's my guest right now. We're going to get you this weather update. Toothall Tom Szymanski will get you all the latest forecasts. If you have a question for Jim Jonas and his candidacy, you can send that into the iConsultants of North Dakota text club. That's at 35270. Coming back with him right after this. Have left is Jim Jonas. He announced yesterday that he's running to get the Republican endorsement in West Fargo, District 13. And Jim, you had mentioned before about economic development and all the growth there. You think about kids getting enrolled, workers. I mean, on top of mind is workers. Everywhere you go, you see a help wanted sign. I mean, economic development and the workforce needs to come with it. I'm curious what you plan or what you're hoping to do with that.
Well, once again, that workforce development to attain and attract new workers. I've seen firsthand the public and private partnerships that can be used in our career and technical education classes with the development of the new innovation center going down in South Fargo. Our students from West Fargo will use that. and we'll partnership with the business world and develop apprentices. I know Wapanan State School of Science has some apprentices on the job training,
Yeah.
but it's important that we get those workers out there for our businesses.
Yeah, because I mean, it's noticeable no matter where you go at this point. This is what I hear regularly into this show is, you have services dialed back because you can't find. I mean, there's places that have, we're going to adjust our hours. So we just don't have the people, the bodies to do the work, and that's going to be a long-term process to correct some of that. But some of that foundation, I think, over the last couple of years has been built. Whether it's you mentioned the CTE programs, the career technical education, that whole workforce development is there if they've got the support from the legislature to actually get the money there.
Right. Yeah. And I know that'll be one of my priorities is education and funding for the schools and the CTE programs.
The question comes in. I said if you have questions, send it in 35270. Tyler, can you ask, is there any chance that they, and they meaning the legislature, try and lower property taxes by giving us some relief or maybe taking some money from the legacy fund, some of the interest off of that and spending some of it? I think we're at, $9 billion sitting in the legacy fund. People are saying, it's time to put that to work, but they're wondering property tax relief from that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I just had that conversation over lunch with some business leaders, and I believe we get $700 million in interest on that legacy fund. Okay. Let's take some of that and help our property owners out with some permanent tax relief. I know the money's there. We can do things innovatively with the legislature. And that's one of the big things that people have been asking me about is what we can do with the tax structure.
Well, and I doubt it's changed much since when I was out there because it hasn't really been addressed much when it comes to property taxes. We were promised back in, was it 2010, that if you vote against this initiated measure, we'll do something with the legislature. And we've done a little bit. A lot more can be done, is I think what you're going to be hearing probably on the campaign trail, because I don't think enough has been done.
Yeah, that's exactly. I heard that yesterday. I've heard it today, and the business luncheon I was just at. Yeah, there's money out there to help the state.
Yeah, you talk about these luncheons. I mean, you're on the West Fargo School Board. You're running for the legislature. I mean, you've been pretty well involved in West Fargo, and I think, because I got people, and I'm not going to pull you into this right now, talking about, I mean, there are 2 Republican lawmakers in the House right now.
Yep.
Now, there's one that's, judging by the feedback, that a lot of people would like to see gone there. But being involved, I mean, you've been hearing it's been 2 days, it's been a day and a half. It seems like you got a little bit of support from these groups.
Oh, yeah. My phone is constantly ringing, right. Text messages, emails. The support has been fantastic. I know a lot of people in the community, and not only from West Fargo community, but throughout the area of the state have contacted me asking how they can donate to my campaign and so forth. But
well, let's get to that. I mean, you've got, it seems, when's the convention for the District 3? When does this get decided if you get the nomination or not?
Tuesday, April 5th at Vets Arena in West Fargo. Okay. That's the nominating the endorsement committee. Mm-hmm. And
if you don't get the nomination, are you going to the primary?
Yes. Yes. I need 167 signatures, and I'm well on the way to that. I got a lot of support in the community, and being an old football coach, I'm out to win.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. I've only got about a minute left. If people want to know more about your candidacy, if they want to help you talk about donations, where do they go? Do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook?
We just started a Facebook account on Sunday. Denise threw one together for me, Jonas for North Dakota, and then we'll have a web page going. And I'm just excited for the opportunity to help represent West Fargo, and it's a great community. The city, the parks, the schools. It's a great place to live, and I want to be a part of that to make it even better.
Well, I appreciate you coming in, and congratulations on the announcement. I'm sure as this process rolls forward, especially if you're talking about, going to the primary. I mean, we got till June to be talking more about this, and I just congratulate you on the announcement.
Well, thanks.
We'll talk again soon, all right?
I appreciate it.
Yep. Jim Jonas, he's a candidate for the legislature, West Fargo. Messages coming in about who his opponent is. Yes, Kim Koppelman is one of those that keeps coming in at 35270. We'll talk a little bit more about that after we get you caught up. CBS National News headlines. Check back in with Madison Quinn as well when it comes to some of your local headlines. Want to talk construction? The orange cones are out. We'll get the latest from Kevin Gorder, City of Fargo, right after this. Well, you got the hearings of Judge Jackson going on about whether or not she's going to make the Supreme Court, which she will. But boy, if you have just witnessed over the last, 6-7 years, just the downward spiral of the United States Senate and the way they conduct business and the way they grandstand, instead of really asking important questions on a qualified candidate for such an important job. That's what you've probably missed today if you haven't been watching. It's a circus. It seems more focused on trying to get them as senators on CNN, on Fox News, on MSNBC. And so they're making it more about them and their grandstanding than it really is in getting to know the qualifications of the nominee, in this case being Judge Jackson. That's what's trending today. When we come back after we check in with Madison Quinn, let's talk about construction right here in good old Fargo.
KFGO News, Fargo-Moorhead. We have 46 degrees. I'll get you the rest of the Kfto Weather Center forecast after KFGO News. North Dakota Highway Patrol Captain Brian Newen said the rescue of a suspect who fled a high-speed chase Monday night was a life-or-death situation. The man fled an attempted traffic stop for speeding on Highway I-94 east of Jamestown, exited onto a country road, lost control of the car, entered a ditch, and fled on foot. He was spotted hiding in a slough some distance away.
We had to get to the area on foot. It was through water, so the responders that were out there that were wading through the water as well. The initial trooper that responded actually ran about half to three-quarters of a mile across a muddy field to get to where the slough was. And luckily, he saw some cattails moving and then recognized that that's where the suspect was.
Newen said if the man had not been found within another half hour or less, the search would have turned into a recovery effort because he had severe hypothermia. His condition was so serious, rescuers were unable to get his temperature when he was brought to the Jamestown Hospital. He was transferred then to Fargo for additional treatment. Numerous charges are expected. The car involved had been stolen earlier in the day from Fargo. City of Fargo has taken a step to show its support for Ukraine and condemn Russia's attacks against the country. City Commission unanimously approved a resolution to divest any contractual relationship with the city has with a company doing businesses in Russia. Commissioner Arlette Preston introduced the resolution.
I think all of us have been watching this with horror, actually. And I personally know some people that have family that are in harm's way. That's what got me so concerned. And I'm sure there's others in the city of Fargo that are in the same place.
One of those companies being asked to cut ties with Russia is Baker Tilly, a public accounting and consulting firm that contracts with the city of Fargo. Chicago-based company has said it will separate business in Russia from its global network. Well, the National Weather Service says any fears of an extended spring flooding season in the Red River Valley have been virtually eliminated thanks in part to the area's soil-sustained snow. Weather Service said the area's good flooding forecast was a strange benefit of two unwelcome weather woes, summer drought followed by a winter season of numerous blizzards. Lack of precipitation made the topsoil receptive to the spring thaw, and the gales of winter picked up loose dirt to cover the snow and make it absorb more heat than usual. Meteorologist Amanda Lee says the dirty snow and that last week's sun and warm temperatures are thought to have helped the snowpack disappear quickly. KFGO Weather Center forecast this afternoon, high of currently 46, partly to mostly cloudy and breezy. We'll see gusts up to 31 miles an hour, so windy night tonight and tomorrow. More wind, low of 30, high of 40, north wind 15 to 35 miles an hour. And Thursday, we'll see high 52, low of 22, partly to mostly sunny skies. I'm Madison Quinn, News Radio, KFGO.
I'll get back to all these messages about West Fargo and this race that's going on over there in just a little bit. But before that, I want to have a conversation with a long-lost friend, Kevin Gorder, joining us right now. We're going to talk about construction. Kevin, how the heck you been, man? I've been well. I've been doing well. I got to tell you, just because this happened on air, now I got to share it because maybe you're busy. You got a job, but very busy with the city here. When I said, hey, Kevin Gorder's coming on to talk about some of the construction projects, It Takes Two, thus today it was Amy Eiler, it was Jack Sunday. Like, Kevin doesn't do that anymore. I said, you know what? He's a man that wears many hats, and he's going to be able to join us and talk about this. Yeah. I hope I'm glad that you amended what you allow of yourself to join me today. I owe you one next time we're up tailgating. So, yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. But you know what's not fun for a lot of people in their minds is construction season, and that's here. And there's work that needs to be done. And I'm just curious, have we decided where at within the city of, all right, here's where you want to be mindful because we're going to have the cones up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can tell you, driving on both those roads recently, it's needed. It is very much needed. And you think, well, is it just potholes? No, there's, love the corridors, but yeah, there's been long overdue work on those two roads. Well, yeah, and you learn through the experience, I guess, in this case. Oh, go ahead. Well, yeah, I just answered. I say, how long, when we do these updates, how long do we hope they last? You say about 15 years? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had mentioned, the process, the bidding process, and one thing that keeps coming up. I mean, this is a conversation I had over the weekend when you think about just the big construction and the amount of workers needed, say for the diversion south of town here. Are we confident that we're going to have a workforce to do these major roadways? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll be curious. I'll be watching along. And I know that there is a construction job fair that's going on. In fact, I think within the next hour that we've been pushing for a couple of weeks. And I hope that there's a good turnout there because we need you. We need you all out there working to make this easier commutes for us. Kevin, is there anything else I missed as far as, hey, be mindful of this roadway or any other topic you want to get out before I let you go knowing you're pinch hitting for us? Yeah. this is a question that has come to mind. I'm going to throw it out there, and you can say, "Look, I'm not qualified," or no, I don't mean qualified. Hey, look, I'm just pinch hitting here, and you know what? I don't want to step. We're growing so far down south as a city. We want that, but boy, at some point you're thinking, look at how much construction we're going to have to do. Are we ready for it? Have we been planning far enough ahead from where you sit, or do you want to defer to someone else? Okay. At one point in time, I want to imagine those collaborative efforts going as smoothly as they have seemed to lately when it comes to just this metro area really working together. That's good to hear. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kevin, you nailed it, man. I appreciate your willingness to come on and fill us in on some of this. And I'll tell you what, anytime you're available to do it again, we'll love to have you back. Hey, we'll do that. Kevin, my friend, good to hear from you. We'll talk soon, all right? Yeah, you bet. Kevin Gorder, City of Fargo. You're already seeing it. The thing is, the roadways which he just rattled off, if you've been down them at any point in the recent past year, the construction sorely needed. I'm not trying to throw any shit, but 32nd Avenue, there were so many potholes. It's every year. So, if you're having to go out there and do the patchwork every year, it's time, ladies and gentlemen. But you're going to want to plan accordingly, especially if you're taking those roadways every day. That construction likely going to be starting sometime soon. Now that those bids, which, quite frankly, again, I think it will come down to workforce. That's going to be a key issue here of trying to get these projects done, I think, on time with the bidding process the way it's gone. That it might be an extended construction season just based on the man and woman power that we have out there this time of year. 237-5948. That's the lady studio line. Messages in at 35270. Everything from my conversation with Jim Jonas to somebody saying, I missed your Elton John concert talk. Could you summarize? I will summarize when we come back after some of these messages. I'm Tyler Axis, your host. Eric Johnson's our producer. With us at 5 o'clock here on KFGO. because I found myself just starting vacation. After I shut the microphone off Thursday night, we went out and had a lovely supper, had a nice cold beverage, watching as this was all unfolding and the excitement that March Madness is. Only to find myself watching Kentucky lose in the opening round, which I had on my bracket going all the way and having that one shining moment. Bracket busted. Night one. And I don't think I was alone. I can tell you coming back to the office here, which everything's on the up and up. I want to make abundantly clear for the people listening to the Secretary of State's office. Everything's on the up and up. Yeah, there's been a lot of trash talk because apparently in this building, I was the only one that picked Kentucky to go all the way. And we're done. Busted. How are yours? Are you still alive? Let me know at 35270. Or your brackets busted like mine? That's the Consultants of North Dakota Text Club. In fact, I'm going to go there and just, summarize for you because somebody wants to know. They heard my tease about my view on Elton John's concert, but missed my summary. I said that the performance from Elton John and the band themselves, great. The environment, in my experience, not so great. And it had nothing to do with the Fargo Dome. It really doesn't. It was just the way of which I've gone to a number of concerts. And whether you're in that front row, and if it's done the right way when it comes to the sound setup, you can be sitting in that back row, and you can still have that same acoustic in the sound experience that you are immersed. You're part of the show. Not just as far as being able to sing along with all those hits that you know, which certainly with Elton John, there was a lot of them. I mean, he's been, having hits for the last 60 years, it feels like. But where I had sat, it seemed like the concert was the furthest away of any show I've been to. Rather, I've sat even further away at other concerts before, at other venues, didn't have that. This is the first time. I enjoyed my first time watching Elton John at the Fargo Dome compared to this one. That's my take. Not exactly making me a popular guy around here, but as I said, his performance, great. But I think the crew, as they come in, they set up the sound, didn't have it to where it really got to those that were further back. And I was on the floor, so it's not as though I was way up in the sections as others were. I could about imagine that by the time all of that got to them, it just probably didn't have that same, boy, you're a part of this. We're all sharing, we're all in this together. This is the first time in a long time that I went into a show and had that experience coming out of that show. I don't think I was alone in that, but if you completely disagree, saying this was one of the greatest concerts I've ever been to, you can let me have it at 35270, or you can call the Laney studio line, 237-5948. Other messages that came in was the conversation. So Jim Jonas, well known in West Fargo, was a football coach, a teacher. Now he's the president of the West Fargo School Board. I know he's involved in a lot of other activities and other boards and groups in West Fargo. And I know because I called that home for about 10 years. And I know the amount of effort that was put in from both parties to get him to finally commit to, yep, you're going to run for the legislature and we want you to be a part of this team. And he's running, he's a Republican. And what people are saying, well, okay, well, let's think District 13 is already a full Republican ticket right now. And and I can summarize, but is he against Kim Koppelman? If so, I'm all in. Yeah. That is, I think, a big driving factor for a lot of the people, a lot of the names you're going to hear from the prominent individuals in West Fargo that are backing a candidate like Jim Jonas to get the Republican nomination for the House of Representatives. You've got Kim Koppelman, you've got Austin Schauer, you got Judy Lee. And I worked with Judy Lee. I have a lot of respect for her. In fact, we served on a committee together, and I know her thoughts on the House situation when it comes to the way of which Kim Koppelman approaches the job. And I think what might have been the final straw for some of them this time and why they are looking elsewhere is because of the Luke Simon situation. I've said it at this microphone so many times that in this legislative session, of all the things that really caused a big rift in the Republican Party, out in Bismarck, those that are elected in the House of Representatives, was how they approached that situation. And that's why you're hearing, people basically choosing sides in this whole affair. And you know what side I'm on? It's those that voted to expel Luke Simons because he was harassing attorneys. And his behavior does not fit as an elected official. I don't care if it's in North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, wherever you're listening to me on KFGO right now. But some people said, you know what? I'm going to give him a pass. And those that did give him a pass are the ones that people want to remove from office. And that includes Kim Koppelman and West Fargo. You'll probably hear more about that as this campaign does roll on, as far as just this time to get and figure out which direction you want as a Republican Party in North Dakota. We'll continue this conversation after I get you caught up with KFGO News next.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Pioneer House Assisted Living, offering you the independence of your own apartment with the convenience of extra assistance when needed.
Mostly cloudy now in Fargo-Moorhead, 46 degrees this afternoon. Partly to mostly cloudy and breezy, wind still gusting at 31 miles an hour. The extended forecast coming your way after KFGO News. High-speed chase turned into a rescue last night for Highway Patrol troopers and first responders in Stutsman County. Patrol Captain Brian Newen.
I mean, this was more of a rescue operation than it was trying to get somebody under arrest because this was a life or death situation. If we would not have found him when we did last night, it would have been a recovery effort because he had severe hypothermia. They were unable to get a temperature on him when they got him to the hospital. He still was alive, conscious breathing, but they had to take him to Fargo for additional treatment. So, another 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half hour, this most likely could have been a recovery effort versus a rescue.
22-year-old driver had fled a traffic stop on I-94 east of Jamestown for speeding in a vehicle that had been stolen earlier in Fargo. He exited the interstate onto a county road, lost control, and drove into a ditch. He fled on foot and jumped into a slough in an attempt to hide from officers before being spotted hiding in cattails. A number of charges are pending. State Patrol has identified a pedestrian struck and killed in a hit-and-run crash in Mandan. That's 77-year-old Erwin Geigel of Mandan. He was hit by a pickup while in the parking lot of an arena and died at the scene early Monday morning. Driver, identified as 39-year-old Wade Bison, fled the scene in a stolen vehicle, but was spotted by a Bismarck police officer who attempted a traffic stop. Suspect refused to pull over and then collided with a delivery truck and rolled down a hill into a fence at a motel where he was arrested and treated at a hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. Formal charges are pending. Currently mostly cloudy, 46 degrees in Fargo-Moorhead. You're listening to KFGO News. Mostly cloudy, 46 degrees. This is KFGO News. A bill requiring the state of Minnesota to divest its holdings in entities in Russia and Belarus awaits a vote in the state Senate after hearing this morning, as does a companion measure fast-tracked in the Minnesota House. Luda Anastasavietsky, who was born in Mariupol and chairs the Minnesota Ukrainian-American Committee, told lawmakers she lost touch with family and friends on February 27th.
Every moment when I'm doing my everyday chores, I think of them. I can't imagine how they're surviving without heat or water or electricity. I pray for them. At this point, I'm praying for a miracle.
Several days ago, Ukraine's parliament reported at least 80% of residential housing had been destroyed in Mariupol. Well, 3 Fargo women have announced they'll seek a seat on the Fargo City Commission, bringing the number of declared candidates to 10. Denise Kolpeck is a recent retiree of Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Dakota. While she served as vice president for 15 years, she previously served as executive director of the North Dakota Newspaper Association. Victoria Johnson is a family advocate. She's a native of Uganda and graduate of Fargo South High School. And Jody Plessity, an entrepreneur and co-founder of People's Rising Academy. 2 commission seats are up on the June ballot. Commissioner Tony Gehrig is not running again. Commissioner Dave Pepcorn has yet announced his intentions. Kfgo Weather Center forecast, currently 46. This afternoon, partly to mostly cloudy and breezy. Could be gusting 13 to 31 miles an hour. Tonight and tomorrow, high of 40, low of 30, cloudy and windy conditions. Thursday, high of 52, sunny skies, low of 22, and Friday, high of 45, partly to mostly cloudy and windy, and a low of 30. I'm Madison Quinn, KFGO News.
Last hour, Rusty Offerson teased saying, you know what, I want to talk about calving next hour. It's next hour. I want to talk about calving.
It is next hour. Sorry for the tease.
Yeah, it was calving. Always on my mind.
Well, yeah. Earlier today we talked with Tom Bernhardt. He's currently serving as chair of the North Dakota Grain Growers Association, but he also raises cattle, and he's calving. He's got about a dozen calves on the ground so far, according to estimates early this morning. That could change rapidly.
Yes. Many people out there listening are agreeing.
Yeah, but it's that time of year. And, we're looking ahead to pasture and range conditions this year, Tyler. And Tom says he's got a lot of neighbors that could use some moisture for their pastures and their rangeland. Now, when you talk about West River, Tyler, if you look at the latest drought monitor and if you look at the forecast for the year ahead from NOAA Weather, West River, North Dakota, South Dakota, eastern Montana, it looks like we could use a lot of moisture to get things back to where they need to be.
Well, even before that drought moved east to where we're sitting now, I mean, it seemed like they had been dry for at least 2 winters now.
Yeah,
because I think about my friends in the Mulhall area.
Yeah,
Not this winter, but the winter prior is like seeing photos with their kids out running around the yard. There was no snow whatsoever.
Yeah, and it's kind of a cliche to say it's the epicenter of the drought around that area of the country, but by golly, I mean, gosh darn, we could really use some good moisture out there.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, there's no question there.
Yeah.
Rusty, I appreciate it. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that a guy can't do anything about it.
We've been talking about it for so long, but the old timers will say that a drought has a very long tail. So,
Well, I know where we're sitting. We're wondering, well, is it going to be a little enough to break some of it? And we're thinking about, I can't recall who I was visiting with this weekend about just water in the ditches. Like, hey, this is a good sign. But when it comes to how dry it was out there, they're like, well, maybe this is just going to soak up.
Yeah.
And it looks like it did very rapidly.
Yep. So, obviously, a story we've been covering and will continue to cover this year.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Rusty. We'll chat again tomorrow, all right?
Okay, thank you, Tyler.
You bet. Rusty Alverson, Sarah Heinrich, multi-award-winning journalist of agriculture here at KFGO. More messages in at 35270. That's the iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club. I will get back to those right after the CBS National News. Don't go anywhere. I'll get back to your comments on, my experience with Elton John. But this Friday, that's March 25th, 8 p.m., down at Shooting Star Casino Hotel Entertainment, 38 Special is going to be taking the stage. And I've got some tickets that I want to get from me to you so you can go take in 38 Special. For these tickets, just now, and I've got a little bit of swag to be getting out to you. Text in Special, 35270. That's all I ask. I'm not going to make you do a quiz. I'm not going to embarrass you on the phone lines. 35270. Just text the word special. And then one of you or two of you, however many I feel like today, going to get a text back from me so you and a friend or you and a spouse can get on down to watch 38 Special. Again, text. I see people calling in to the Laney studio line. You text to 35270 special. And a couple of you are going to get a text back from me, and you'll be going down to watch 38 Special this Friday night. Excuse me. It's got to be the seasonal allergies, folks. I just can't get rid of this in my throat, so I apologize. Thanks for bearing with me. Some responses to my take on just my experience at Elton John. Again, I said his performance at 74, going to be 75 this Friday. That was good. It was just, if I'm going to blame somebody, I'm going to blame his roadies, the road crew, which I have a lot of admiration for them. Could you imagine having to get up and you're setting up the stage, you're traveling, you're driving all the equipment, you're setting up, you're tearing down on night after night after night. And it seems that they just got the venue wrong the way they should have had the sound to have you feel it throughout all of the Fargo Dome. It was the first time I'd noticed it in this venue, that it just wasn't put together the right way. Tyler Elton is still a fantastic musician. The music was great, but I didn't think it was much of a show, and that's in quotation marks. And I guess I don't know what you expected. The man's 74. Now, there are other artists that are up there in age that are still running and, kicking high knees and all that on stage, but he never, I thought that type of showman of how he was, I don't think that's been there for a little while now. Because I'm trying to think even, and I don't remember what year it was, 2008, was it? The last time he was here with Billy Joel, it had a lot of that, and we're sitting behind the piano and we're singing together. Not as raucous as he probably was in his earlier age. So what I'm getting at is I expected the type of performance that we got. I just didn't feel it, the environment. Another one came in, and I heard this from others that went as well. Tyler, I had the exact opposite experience at Slipknot last Wednesday. I sat towards the back in the bleachers, and the sound was excellent. I heard from multiple people that went to Slipknot that it was a great show, that it was loud. Was it in this moment open up for them? That the all around, now granted, that was half the dome if I do recall. So you didn't, the actual seating, the show itself was only half the dome, so you didn't have that big long area to really fill with all that sound. Now granted, I'm sure they had it turned up to 11, versus what Elton's crew did. But I did hear from multiple people that Slipknot was a great time on Wednesday. Boy, a lot of you want to go see 38 Special. I appreciate that. And in fact, while you're getting this weather update from Too Tall Tom, I'm going to text probably two of you back. Now, if I don't text you back, don't worry. I've got more to give out tomorrow and perhaps Thursday. But two of you are going to get a text back from me, so be keeping that phone handy. Unless you're driving, you better be having the passenger to take care of this. When we come back, you meet this microphone, your cell phone, whatever you want to get off your chest, whether it's the clown show that is happening at the Senate hearing for the Supreme Court nominee and Judge Jackson. We can talk about that. Anything you want to get off your chest, I'm here for you. I'm Tyler Axis. This is Afternoons Live on KFGO. Patience. It's something I don't have a lot of, as you're well aware if you listen from 2 to 5 weekdays. I don't have a lot of patience, but I'm asking some of you to have a little patience. Hey, did I win, Tyler? I've only gotten a chance to respond to one, and I will respond to one more texter. But 38 special, like I said, today we're just doing a text. Tomorrow, who knows what I might have up my sleeve because I've got more tickets to get you down there. In fact, I'm kind of thinking that this is one that I might be joining you in the attendance as well. 38 Special has got some good bangers, man. I'm just telling you. It's one of those where it's going to be that intimate setting. So we're going to be sitting there and it'll be, was it Hold On Loosely, right? That's 38 Special. If I'm way off, it's my Monday, so bear with me here. But I'm pretty sure Hold On Loosely is 38 Special, right?
Yeah, you're correct.
Thank you.
I have a feeling this is one of those shows where even if you're not familiar with the titles of all of their songs, you're going to recognize most of them. I unfortunately won't be able to attend a show this weekend because I'll be in the lovely city of Minot, North Dakota.
Oh, yeah, Minot, North Dakota. Why Minot? Well, we're going to tell you all about that on Thursday because it's the Democratic MPL convention going on in the Magic City. That's going to be brought to you the coverage on Thursday, Welton's Tire Service. So you enjoy your time.
I will. I'm really looking forward to the drive up there starting at about 5:30 on Friday.
So you think about the 5 hours that you're going to be.
I'm going to talk to you about shortcuts or where cops like to sit so that we can maybe pick up some of that time.
No, I do not out to the fine men and women of law enforcement of where they like to sit on Highway 52, which I assume is the route you're taking, right?
Yeah, I honestly, I have never driven from Fargo to Minot, so I don't know the most efficient
No, that's
Is
mostly
it 281?
281 you'd take from Jamestown up to, like Minnewacan and Leeds.
Sure,
so that's 281. I mean, I just say that because that's where you get on Highway 2 if you're taking that way. Now, you could also go I-94 out to Bismarck, then up Highway 83. That's going to be the biggest lanes for you. If you're concerned about driving conditions, if you're concerned about deer,
that's the smart one.
52 might be, that's the most scenic, but it's going to be dark for you.
Sure, right.
So
I want fastest.
You're going to be so tempted to make pit stops along the way on 52 because there's a lot of small towns, a lot of beautiful small towns along that drive.
A lot of small towns that I've heard stories of and haven't yet to experience. So I think that might cause a little more trouble than it's worth, unfortunately, on the trip up there.
So you're staying till Sunday then, right? You're coming back Sunday?
Yeah.
See, and now if you're thinking about Sunday, I don't know hours of operations on Sundays anymore.
Yeah. So,
or it varies.
Right.
I thought about this a while ago. Like, what is the best corridor, like stretch of roads in which you've got all these small towns that if, let's say if Kfgo just had a bus or a cruiser that sits out in the parking lot. This is my winking eye to the person in the corner. You pick a road. And you know what? We're taking that cruiser or that Kfgo bus or pit stops along the way. Maybe we'll do afternoons live at one of these destinations. I mean, you've got stretches of that 281 you talk about.
Yep.
You got Highway 83. You got 50. I mean, I throw it out to you. What stretch of highway with all those small towns is one that, this would be a fun tour of Kfgo to go on?
Yeah, if we want to stay a little closer to home and, it's special to my heart because our farm was on it, but Highway 18 would hit a lot of good small towns.
Yeah, there are those stretches. Now, back in the day, you would think all those small towns, they competed against each other when it came to high school athletics. Well, now it's, I mean, what? Here's the requirements of a small town: a post office, a gas station, or a way to fuel, and a bar or two, and then like 3 churches.
Yeah, and if you've got the cafe and the bar,
now you're getting greedy because in a lot of the small towns, you've got the bar that is also the restaurant that, they serve coffee throughout the day too if you want. Yeah. We don't have enough room or enough employees to have a cafe and a bar.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And sometimes those gas stations turn into the coffee in the morning.
Correct,
stop.
If there's a table. And sometimes you bring your own thermos full of your own coffee, but you still got a place to go sit.
As long as there's a dice cup, you're doing all right.
What corridor? What's the stretch of road that we should do this on? 35270. We'll hop in a bus. We'll come see you maybe. That's somebody saying you have to have an elevator as well. But there are more and more, because of, I think, just the proximity of where the farms might be, that you're not seeing all those elevators necessarily in town anymore. Now, I say that because I had to help move one outside of a town that was flooding about 15 miles west on Highway 2, in which it just sits along the highway now. But okay, we'll add an elevator that at least at some point was in operation. Might not be anymore. But I want to just throw out which corridors have those stop after stop after stop. That would be a great time. iConsultants of North Dakota. They'll welcome your text for 35270. We'll have a little bit of fun of that in the final hour, as well as our next guest that's coming up. Carbon capture is something that's been talked about a lot. There's a proposal. There's already been asks, will you allow this pipeline to go below your ground and your property? More and more people are having questions and concerns about that. We're going to get on this side of it, starting off with Angela Seligman, because she's with U.S. doing state policy and advocacy for the Clean Air Task Force. They're all for these type of projects. So I want to know about the benefits of this project, because when I keep seeing if it works, that raises some questions for me. You have questions on that? 35270. In the meantime, we'll get you caught up at CBS and KFGO News. With some of that KFGO news, Joel Morgan will get you all the latest local headlines. But first, congratulations to Mark and Cindy for winning these pair of tickets to 38 Special. And if you're not Cindy and if you're not Mark, you'll be listening to tomorrow's show because I got more tickets to get out from us to you so you can join us down at Shooting Star to watch 38 Special. Here's what's coming up in this final hour. I'm going to talk sports with Derek Canson. I didn't get a chance to yesterday. Minnesota Vikings had a big signing today from the Green Bay Packers. We'll talk about that and the Twins making some moves as well. But to kick off the show, or this last hour, this carbon capture pipeline, Summit Carbon Solutions, they're calling this, the Midwest Carbon Express. The way that they presented some of this and the way you've got oilmen, meaning Harold Hamm and all the Republican congressional candidates, all of that in North Dakota saying, here we are, we're doing this, and you don't have the backing of some of those landowners yet because they're wondering about the safety of this. So I want to talk about the actual ins and outs of how this would work with a Clean Air Task Force. That's coming up right after this news.
At 4:06, it is 46 degrees. I'm Joel Morgan, News Radio KFGO. 3 Fargo women have announced they will seek a seat on the Fargo City Commission within the last few days, bringing the number of declared candidates to 10. Denise Kolpeck is a recent retiree of Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Dakota, where she served as the vice president for 15 years. She previously served as executive director of the North Dakota Newspaper Association. Victoria Johnson is a family advocate. She is a native of Uganda and a graduate of Fargo South High School. She says more female voices are needed on the commission and that special assessments are creating a burden on homeowners. Well, Jody Plessity is an entrepreneur and co-founder of People Rising Academy. 2 city commission seats are up on the June ballot. Commissioner Tony Gehrig is not running again, while Commissioner Dave Pepcorn has yet to announce his intentions. Minnesota environmental regulators say damage to the state's public groundwater resources from missteps during construction of the Line 3 oil pipeline is more severe than previously known. The State Department of Natural Resources says Enbridge energy crews ruptured 3 groundwater aquifers while building the 340-mile pipeline across northern Minnesota last year. The DNR says the company faces expanded sanctions. Together, the punctures led to nearly 300 million gallons of groundwater flowing to the surface, with the most serious breach occurring near the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Reservation in St. Louis County. That rupture alone discharged more than 200 million gallons of groundwater, and it continues to flow out. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem has signed a bill she has promoted as a rejection of critical race theory, even though the legislation is limited in scope. The law bans the state's public universities from using training and orientation material that compels people to feel discomfort based on their race. The bill passed the Senate earlier this month. Noem has repeatedly criticized critical race theory, an academic framework that centers on the idea that racism is systemic in the nation's institutions. The innovation does not prohibit professors in higher education from teaching such concepts in academic infrastructure. It is one of a dozen education bills signed by Noem. The University of North Dakota is expected to announce additional relaxations of COVID-19 protocols tomorrow. During an online video message today, University President Andrew Armacost says that UND would ease mask requirement in public spaces. Armacost says UND is moving from pandemic to an endemic mode. Late last month, UND announced that masks would be encouraged but not required in many indoor places, but masks would be required in classrooms, student health services, the Children's Learning Center, COVID testing sites at Pollard Center and Wilkinson's Common, and certain educational spaces. The February announcement also said masks are still required well in line at Wilkerson Dining and on first-floor dining spaces in the Union. Look at your KFGO forecast today. This afternoon, partly to mostly cloudy and breezy, high of 44, northwest winds coming in anywhere between 13 to 30 miles an hour. Tonight, cloudy and windy, low of 30. We'll see temperatures getting into the 40s tomorrow with north winds around 15 to 20 miles an hour. Right now, 46 degrees. I'm Joel Morgan, News Radio KFGO.
One of the stories we've been following for quite some time here on Afternoons Live is this proposal. Summit Carbon Solutions is looking for a 2,000-mile pipeline network that started in Iowa. It's going through South Dakota. It's going to end up in parts of central North Dakota. This Summit pipeline called the Midwest Carbon Express. It take carbon dioxide emissions from ethanol plants in 5 states, ship it right here to North Dakota. And, I think there's a general sense of the project, hey, this sounds good, but I want to learn more. And one of the places I was able to find is a Clean Air Task Force to help maybe walk through some of these proposals is the U.S. State Policy and Advocacy Manager of that organization. It's Angie Seligman, who joins us right now. Angie, I appreciate you taking time. How are you today? I'm doing well. I just got back off a little break, so I'm all revved up and ready to go and talk about some of these issues here. Now, if I'm correct, you're familiar with this area. You've actually worked with state government here in North Dakota? So very familiar with the area. Perfect person to have explained this type of proposal to me like I'm 5 years old. What do you think about all this, the proposals when it comes to all this carbon, this greenhouse gas? We want to store it somewhere, this proposal. I'm curious on that, but I want you to start this Clean Air Task Force. Let's start there. Explain what it is you do now. Mm-hmm. So this proposal, I mean, that's what it sounds. The goal is, a 2,000-mile pipeline, a big network that's taken from ethanol plants, capturing that carbon and then pumping it back into the ground. Is this something that your nonprofit, this Clean Air Task Force, are these the type of proposals that you've been pushing or saying, you know what, this is a great idea? Explain that for me if you can. Mhm. Well, and I mean, when you say those numbers, that's pretty eye-popping as to what the proposal would do to help clean the area. And one of the things that I've been hearing, and I'm not going to put you in the middle of the dispute when it comes to landowners here, but one of their concerns is safety of a project like this. I'm just curious, are there other similar projects that have been out there that say, this is something that can be done safely through this means of a pipeline network? I'm just curious if there's other examples that I could be directed towards. See, and that's one of the ththings that, we're having this conversation, and I'm going to be visiting with landowners and some of the advocates that are at least hearing them out when it comes to, well, I appreciate this project. I understand the good it would do. It's just the concerns of if it works is the question that keeps coming up. Is it safe, and does it work? And so what I'm hearing is that it's probably a bigger scale of something that's already taken place in another part of the state. Angie Seligman is my guest. We're talking about this CO2 pipeline, the Summit Carbon Capture or Carbon Solutions. That's drawing a lot of people's attention here. You've been involved on the state level when it comes to the Department of Environmental Quality. I'm just curious, now that you're on the nonprofit side, has the state of North Dakota been doing a good enough job with all the natural resources we have here of keeping, I guess, the quality of our environment? Has it been doing a good enough job here in the state? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Angie, you mentioned earlier about the supportive of the idea of this Summit Carbon Solutions, but haven't taken necessarily a for or against position. Is there a reason? Is that something that the Clean Air Task Force we don't endorse? We don't say no, this is not the approach, or is there a reason why you haven't come out saying this is the project that needs to get done? Gotcha. Okay. No, I think that's fair. That actually cleared up what question I had quite well. So I appreciate you following up there. Is there anything else you want to get out before I let you go, whether it's about this proposal or just about what the Clean Air Task Force has been up to? I know you're the U.S. State Policy and Advocacy Manager of this whole operation. So what I'm saying here is the stage is yours. Whatever you want to get out before I let you go, now's your chance. Very good. Angie, I appreciate your expertise and the time you provided for us. You take care, and we'll chat again soon, all right? Yeah, you do the same. Andrew Seligman is a Clean Air Task Force. That's the sense I've gotten from a lot of people that are hesitant here. Hey, I appreciate it and support the idea. We're going to talk about the people that might be impacted and visit with them in the days ahead. In the meantime, I got to get you caught up on some of these messages. We'll talk sports with Derek Hansen to wrap up Afternoons Live next. A little while ago, letter from the Secretary of State's office right here in North Dakota, the term limits petition. Remember when they're saying, hey, we're going to set term limits for everybody that gets elected in the future, but not us that are here now. we're not going to include ourselves. Yeah, they didn't even come close to meeting the required signatures. So it doesn't have the significant number, or sufficient, pardon me, can't even talk today, the sufficient number of valid signatures to get on the ballot. So for all you out there that were just waiting, chomping at the bit to have a chance to vote, I'm putting term limits on lawmakers in North Dakota and the governor. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Not by this initiative measure anyway. But to have this significant of a miss has got to be completely embarrassing for the sponsoring committee. And that included some lawmakers, including the Rick Bergs of the world, or Rick Beckers, pardon me, out there. But this, to miss so bad, egg on their face, no question about that. Sports with Derek Hansen, host of Couch Potato Radio. That's next.
I'm Joel Morgan. Thousands of contractors, engineers, train, and yard workers are returning to work today after an agreement between Canadian Pacific Railroad and the Teamsters Canada Rail Conference ended a 2-day work stoppage. A work stoppage that began Sunday brought trains to a halt across Canada and interrupted fertilizer and other shipments to and from the U.S. as 3,000 workers walked off the job. A lengthy interruption of fertilizer shipments could have hamstrung U.S. farmers who are nearing the spring planting season, as well as exacerbated existing supply chain bottlenecks. CP annually transports more than 11 million tons of products from North Dakota to Canada and over 2 million tons in the other direction, including agricultural commodities and fuels. Senator Kevin Cramer expressed gratitude for an end to the strike, saying an extended strike would have had significant market implications from agriculture to energy. The National Weather Service says any fears of an extended spring flooding season in the Red River Valley have been virtually eliminated, thanks in large part to the area's soil-strained snow. The Weather Service says that the area's good flooding forecast was a strange benefit of two unwelcome weather woes, a summer drought followed by a winter season of numerous blizzards. The lack of precipitation made the topsoil receptive to the spring thaw, and the glaze of winter picked up loose dirt to color the snow and made it absorb more heat than usual. Meteorologist Amanda Lee says the dirty snow and last week's sun and warm temperatures are thought to have helped the snowpack disappear quickly. 45 degrees. It's News Radio KFGO. .45 degrees. It's News Radio KFGO. Minnesota environmental regulators say damage to the state's public groundwater resources from missteps during construction of the Line 3 oil pipeline is more severe than previously known. The State Department of Natural Resources says Enbridge Energy crews ruptured 3 groundwater aquifers while building the 340-mile pipeline across northern Minnesota last year. The DNR says the company faces expanded sanctions. Together, the punctures led to nearly 300 million gallons of groundwater flowing to the surface, with the most serious breach occurring near the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Reservation in St. Louis County. That rupture alone discharged more than 200 million gallons of groundwater and continues to flow out. 2 people in Moorhead have been arrested for transporting fentanyl from Chicago. Moorhead police say 53-year-old Marcellus Beasley and 29-year-old Hannah Halen were pulled over on Friday on I-94 in Clay County on their way back from Illinois. The suspects handed over small bags containing 50 grams of powdered fentanyl. The drugs have a street value of $15,000. Beasley and Holland each face a charge of first-degree felony distribution of a controlled substance. Moorhead police say they have responded to several overdoses so far this year and 63 in 2021. The director of North Dakota State Department of Career and Technology Education says he'll be asking the next legislative session for money to operate and maintain career academies across the state.
We can't invest $90 million in a bunch of facilities and then just leave them high and dry.
Wade Six says his staff is now putting together a proposal to take to lawmakers. He told the College Technical Education Council, the CTC, received $20 million in the current biennium, whereas K-12 education is receiving significantly more money.
If we value career and technical education, then why is the investment in career and technical education on the state side $26 million?
The Career Technology Education Department Board recently approved a number of projects to be built with federal coronavirus relief funds. Your KFGO forecast for today, partly to mostly cloudy and breezy. North-northwest winds around 13 to 30 miles an hour. Temperatures holding steady into the mid-40s tonight. We'll see a low into the 30s. North winds slowing up a bit at 15 to 20 miles an hour. It is 45 degrees. I'm Joel Morgan, News Radio, KFGO.
Oh, boy, have we got lots of sports to talk about. We didn't get a chance to yesterday because Jim Shaw was filling in for me. Thanks again there, Jim. But, boy, you think about Class B, you think about the Twins moves, you think about what the Vikings acquired today. Minnesota, well, it's all on the table. And you know what? Derek Hansen, host of Couch Potato Radio, is going to break it all down for us right after the CBS National News. Track at home earlier today, the Minnesota Twins were in action, taking on Atlanta. 4-0 Twins lose. Derek Hansen in studio. He's host of Couch Potato Radio. Hi, Derek.
Hello. As my old friend Rich Becker, who played center field for the Twins and also the Red Hawks, don't worry about spring training games. But they're working on stuff. So
yeah, spring training like they got a lot to work through.
Yeah, I mean they got to get a couple starters, and I don't know if they're just going to rely on these young kids or whatever. But that's kind of. I mean, their lineup actually looks okay. I was talking about that a little bit with Joel Heitkamp in his office not too long ago, just talking about sports and stuff, because obviously our favorite team in purple made the big news today.
Yeah,
but
they had a big signing.
I just posted on Facebook. I said, as a Minnesota sports fan, I'm not used to all these, big free agent signings and trades. I don't know what's going on right now.
Well, and then they save it all for like a 3-day stretch.
Exactly.
They sprinkle it, give us hope in little increments, not all in one big boom. There it is.
Yeah, it's nuts. So no, I'm looking forward to seeing if this works out for the Vikings. Zadarius Smith, they got two guys they're relying on to get pressure of the quarterback. That Danielle Hunter's played 7 games in 2 years, and Smith didn't hardly play at all last year. But when they are healthy, when they play, they are a force to be reckoned with. So that could be scary for the opposing quarterback as long as they are healthy.
So staying healthy, and you know what? If you get somebody, obviously you think about the pressure that needs to be applied on these quarterbacks. That's what you signed today. You don't get there, you still need to get that help on that corner situation.
Yes.
What do you do? What is I can't think of his name. It used to be, I think, with the Chiefs, but I think he was a safety. Is it Matthews?
Yeah, Tyrone Matthews.
Yeah, I think he's still out there, but I think that's safety. So I
would look at getting Patrick Peterson back. I thought he was actually solid. I just don't. He kind of went there for Zimmer, so I don't know if he's spurned by that at all. It's an interesting story. I don't know if they want to go down this road. It's probably why they should put him on leave instead of actually cutting him. Jeff Gladney, he was found not guilty of everything. Mm-hmm. They cut him, but he's a first-round draft pick. Do you reach out to him, or is he mad at the organization? Is he going to get another shot in the NFL? No. Will he get suspended just for being in that situation? We've seen that before, where even though you're found not guilty in a criminal charge, you just don't want to take your chance on. I'm sure they do plenty of background checks. I mean, they do.
These teams hire their own investigators.
Yeah, it's crazy. The NFL has a whole security team of its own. It's nuts. I kind of wonder if it's like Wilford Brimley on The Firm in the movie. That type of thing, the way it goes.
That beautiful mustache.
But it is it's something else to think about, that they are pretty weak on corners right now, and that's going to be a big factor coming into this upcoming season.
Did re-sign Sean Mannion as well as a backup quarterback.
Why?
That's what I was going to ask you. Why? He got munned.
I don't know.
He must really. Maybe Zimmer was right
that he is this quarterback's coach that's actually a player.
Yeah,
just make him a coach then.
Yeah, right.
because he can't play. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not going to do much for you. I
don't understand.
This is weird.
Maybe this is Kirk throwing his weight around. So I like that Sean Mannion guy,
and that might be. And of course, there's no pressure on. No one's going to be screaming. As much as I don't know if Kirk Cousins can win the Vikings the Super Bowl, no one's screaming for Sean Mannion to get a shot, right?
Correct.
Nobody.
No one's saying, all right.
I would have put Kellen Mond in there. I don't care what Zimmer said about his practice. I know that he can maybe make a play. Sean Mannion, we found out after 2 series, is not ready for prime time. He's not even a clipboard owner. He should be wearing a baseball cap with a breezer and a hoodie.
Just one of those NFL logos on it. Be like a Rob Lowe.
Not good.
I just hope everyone's having fun.
Well, you know why Rob Lowe did that? He wanted to tick off one team. He's promoting a show, so he's want to go out there and wear one or the other.
Courageous move, Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
I think it was last week was just his birthday, but that's not sports related.
Well, he doesn't age, so what's his birthday? Is he 16 again? He doesn't look any different when he was in The Outsiders.
Yeah, him and The Outsiders. Good pull, by the way.
Yeah.
Think about the lineup of that movie. You had
Soda Pop. He was Soda Pop in that.
Soda Pop. You had
C. Thomas Hall. You had Ralph Macchio. You had
Patrick Swayze.
Matt Dillon.
Matt Dillon.
Tom Cruise was in that bad boy.
You look at that star-studded lineup for Pony Boy Curtis out there.
I know.
You had to read that in high school.
Every
right?
Tiger Beat magazine at the library in the Barnesville High School had it.
Tiger Beat. That was the name of the magazine. I couldn't think of the other week. Said, you said, was it Teen Vogue?
Yeah, the girls would have it in their desk and put hearts around the guys that they liked. Yeah,
throw that in your Trapper Keeper.
We did that with like Melissa Gold and what was the girl from Who's the Boss? Alyssa Milano and all that, right? So guys are no different.
No, we weren't, but they didn't. I'm trying to think of, okay, you had Mad Magazine.
Uh-huh.
You had Sports
Cracked.
Sports Illustrated. Cracked, I suppose, is another one. The other ones you can't bring to school, but I see you smirking over there.
Well, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for you to go. And
Maxim, you can't bring that to school either.
Easy Rider magazine, and all the tattoos.
Yeah.
If you like girls with tats on them.
There was a little bit more edge to the ones that were geared towards the teenage boys.
Glamour. Seinfeld reference.
Yeah.
Sorry. Glamour.
That's the second time today that one of my coworkers has dropped the Seinfeld reference. There's a license plate episode of which you've got a guy that's a proctologist.
I was referencing the famous contest, which is maybe one of the greatest half hours of sitcom ever. But I'm out, Jerry.
It's a great
How did we
episode.
go from a Vikings free agent signing to the contest
Rob
episode?
Lowe. We brought up Rob Lowe. You got to the Outsiders, and then we talked about teen magazines back in our days.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, well, when we got there, we figured out how we got there. Let's talk about the Twins. We didn't even get to Correa. Did he sign today? 3 years?
Yes. He signed his 3-year, 1-year contract.
Yeah, you guys do the math on that.
Well, what it is, I mean, he has an opt-out after every year, so he's not going to be with the team probably after next year, but they're kind of setting him up for Royce Lewis to be the guy, and once he's 100%, and if they're not competitive by the trade, that Eric and I were talking about this yesterday, then he's going, you get some prospects for him, so it's a pretty good deal for everyone involved, actually.
Yeah, sure.
Both sides win.
Yeah. He seems excited to be a part of this organization. Now, maybe that's because you don't want to come in with a frown as you just signed this contract.
Well, they just gave him, they get a whole bunch of money, so I'm sure he's pretty happy about it.
Take that straight to the bank.
He might have some friends in the club, too. You don't know what the inner working is. A lot of these Latin players are pretty tight-knit, and they grew up together. So there's probably a connection we'll find out about later, how this happened, but I don't think there's any doubt this is a good situation for him if he's not going to stay with the Twins for a long time, if they're not successful, it's going to bolster him into bigger money down the road, too.
What's missing from this before we get to the season opener, which is just like 3 weeks away, not even that.
No, it's 2 weeks away.
2 weeks away.
2.5 maybe. Yeah. It's one of those, everyone's looking for pitching. So it's not like no one is saying, man, we got enough pitching. So that's the problem. Everyone says, we got to go get a pitcher. Well, who are you going to go with? I mean, it's not like, it's like if you're looking for a prom date and everyone's got one, like, I'm not giving mine up for you. I mean, I got to get one,
I noticed that everything comes back to prom with you.
It's an easy reference.
Was there something that happened in Barnesville?
No, I had good prom dates and we had fun. Yeah, so
no, all of them were really good.
I'm just using analogies.
I never had a bad prom date, says Derek Hansen.
No. So, but no, it was one of those things where that's what you kind of look at. I mean, I don't know who's going to give up a lot of pitching right now outside the A's, and of course they have 29 teams looking for their 2 pitchers that they're willing to give up with a big sell-off. So. I think that it's going to be awfully tough for them to get one. They might be just relying on these kids to step up and learn and win like they did in 2019, hitting a bunch of home runs. Because the 2019 pitching staff, if you think about it, they weren't that good. They ended up having Randy Dobnak go up against the New York Yankees. Right. But they just were bashing the ball out of the park. And then when they ran into the Yankees and the bats went cold, they're done. I mean, that's how it works. So they needed to balance that out.
I don't know, but you just look at the opportunity this year with this, the Central here. I mean, the Twins are in the thick of it, just given even where they are right now because of where everyone else is.
Joel Morgan's White Sox should be the team.
Yeah.
Detroit's done some things to try to bolster they got Michael Pineda. I mean, they're doing some things. I think the Royals are probably in the middle of their rebuilding thing. They did pick up Zach Greinke. We decided to go back where it all started for him, so that's kind of a neat story. I don't know where the old Cleveland Guardians are. They could be having young guys step up and make it noise, but I think it's up for grabs, as you said, and we shall see if they can stay competitive.
Stick around. I got to get this weather update from Too Tall Tom. We'll wrap up Afternoons Live with Derek Hansen. Drive Time News, Couch Potato Radio. Oh, and the debut of Nightcap with Eric Johnson. We'll get a preview of that right after this. Breaking Class B champions here in North Dakota. I know that Minnesota's got their tourneys going on this week. Derek Hansen's my guest. Couch Potato Radio coming on up.
Yes. I am looking forward to this weekend for everything because it's so busy. We got the Sweet 16 that's going to be on.
How'd your bracket do?
I'm good. I'm sitting good.
Did you hear who I picked to win it all?
You didn't pick UK, did you? Kentucky?
Yeah.
Oh, I should have talked to it. I knew that was. I
Oh,
didn't,
you guessed that was going to happen on Thursday night?
I didn't think they were going to lose Thursday night, but I knew they weren't going to go very far.
I threw a dart at the board.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? Kentucky's my
They were
team.
they were fool's gold because they finished up the regular season strong in the SEC, but they just.
Well, I burned my bracket earlier today. I set fire to it.
Really opens up. I picked Purdue to come out of there, and so I got Arizona beating Purdue, so I'm still sitting pretty with that just because of that. And now with them, and who's the other team that lost that was highly in that region? It looks good for them, but we'll
just
see.
never know. That's why they play the game, and it's all of its madness.
And Purdue and Michigan, the only ones left. So we should, Eric, we should maybe get like a hockey bracket going. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I think
one.
that would be fun. Get it together tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's
I would
easier
have just
too.
as good of luck.
But that's easier too because it's
Just
basically
16
like
teams.
picking Sweet 16 teams.
Yeah.
And unless it's Holy Cross in there, you can eliminate about
Right.
3 of them.
Can you? That's a good point. Well, that you just proved the point of it. That's what makes it so interesting, right? Is you just don't know, and it'd be really a lot of fun to kind of see. But you look at that bracket, though, there are not many gimmies in this 16. I mean, I don't know if there is 3 teams that you know for sure. It is a tough bracket.
Draw it up, boys.
And I tell you, I wouldn't want to be facing St. Cloud State in that first round.
No.
Like, they're a low seed, but that's a buzzsaw. NCHC getting, 5 teams in?
Well, having to go through Notre Dame and then Mankato might be the best team in college hockey this year. That's a tough road to go through if you're but they got to figure out this regional thing. I'm sorry. This weekend, would anyone care if they had it in Mankato because they're the 1 seed?
Yeah, was it after the UND host that they decided to disband
like,
it?
oh, well, this is...
Was it Minnesota complaining about the crowd being against or on Holy Cross?
That sounds right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Be the number 1 seed then.
Just win more games.
And if you want to, if you don't want to host in Mariucci, you had a pretty good venue just down the road that maybe wouldn't have a game or whatever. You can host it. I'd much if Albany doesn't have fans because you have all those teams from the Midwest out there, they got to look at this.
I've got less than a minute. What's coming up on Couch Potato Radio?
Dick Bramer, we got Twins Rep starting at 5:45. Part 2 will be in the 6 o'clock hour.
Very good. Later on, we've got Nightcap with Eric Johnson. He's my producer. You got your own show. What can we expect tonight?
Yeah, Brandon Ashmore, Jade Nielsen, and Seth Holden talking about an event in music.
Very good. Well, be listening. That's going to be kicking off tonight. Debut 7 o'clock. Folks, that's it for me today, though. I'm Tyler Axis, your host here on Afternoons Live. I'll be back tomorrow with Bill Werner. We got Seth Stills. We got so much more. Till then, you drive safe and take care of yourselves. I'll check in right here on KFGO.